episode of our Secure Dental podcast, where we bring in many bright talents from all over, both inside and outside the dental profession. Today, we have a very, very special guest. But before we go on, this podcast is sponsored by Dentvia, a dental virtual administration company that focuses on back-end dental office tasks like calls, claims, AR, etc. To assist our front desk and office managers with their daily tasks, visit them at www.dentvia.com. That's www.dentvia.com. Now, let's dive right in. Dr. Niznick, it's such an honor and a treat to have you. And I'm very excited to be with you today. I mean, you are considered to be the godfather and the pioneer of American implant dentistry. And with over 35 U.S. implant patents, I mean, is there more than 35 right now? Or
I have 3 new pending patents that I'll share with you.
I love it. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this man literally needs no introduction in the implant and dentistry world. He is the backbone and the man behind the scenes for what we know today as Zimmer Dental Implant and Implant Direct Implant Systems. He founded Corvent Bioengineering and Paragon Dental Implant Companies. Dr. Niznick is responsible for the so-called the price shift in the dental implant world, making dental implants more affordable than its competitors and ultimately for our patients through his innovation and unique talents in marketing. I mean, graduated from University of Manitoba in 1966 and then obtained his master's from Indiana University in 1968. Dr. Niznick has had many achievements throughout his career, and one of the main one is his philanthropy, including giving back to his dental school where he graduated from. And I'm so proud that that school is named Dr. Gerald Niznick College of Dentistry in Manitoba. I mean, you're such a blessing to our profession. I don't even know where to start. So, Dr. Niznick, welcome, and thank you for doing this. And let's dive right in. I would just like to ask you, what inspired you to enter the field of dental implantology and become the pioneer in this industry?
Oh, they say necessity is the mother of invention. I started, I finished my master's degree in prosthetics in late 1968, started a practice in Los Angeles, and I was the only prosthodontist in a geographical area of 1,000 dentists. So everybody was sending me their denture problems. I wanted to do crown and bridge, but I was getting all kinds of referrals for dentures, and there's no good way to stabilize the lower denture. So I sent a case to a dentist that was doing subperiosteal implants at the time. That's where they do a chrome casting that gets trapped under the tissue, and he never sent the case back to me to restore. And he says, I never let anybody restore on my implants. So I said, well, I guess I didn't need to know how to place them. So I started placing implants, and all through the 90s, all through the 70s, I was placing subperiosteals, blades. I went to all the symposiums, training courses I could. Every other year, I'd spend a week in Dr. Lenny Linkow's office in New York. And by the end of the 70s, I was somewhat disenchanted with the predictability that I was getting. But I had good experience. If I could just save a couple of teeth, do root canals, cut them down so that there was not much leverage on them, and use a Zest overdenture attachment, I could stabilize the denture. So I said, if I can only come up with 2 implants in the symphysis to hold an implant, to hold a denture, I'd be happy. That's all I really need from implants, I thought. So from that came the Corvent system, which was an implant with a hex hole that you could cement an overdenture abutment in it, and did the first case of 2 freestanding implants to hold an overdenture. And I found that the implants, if I did the surgery a certain way, the implants would become ankylosed. very firm. You could tap on them with a mirror and they'd ring. If I did something else, they wouldn't. So I figured out what that something was, and that was not overheating the bone and not prematurely loading the implant. So that was the development of the core vent. I launched in 1982 the core vent, and by that time I had developed other abutments that could be cemented. So what the core vent introduced is implant prosthodontics, the ability to have an implant with a variety of application-specific abutments. If you want to do a single tooth, there was a tapered abutment for that. If you want an angled abutment, you can bend the abutment. If you want to do a screwed-in case, there's an abutment that received a screw. So that the core vent was launched in '82. By 1990, it was the largest selling implant in the world. I was everywhere. I had offices in different countries, distributors around the world. I traveled and lectured everywhere. Wow. That got me to 1990. 91, Dentsply came along and they wanted to distribute my product. So they took over the distribution and I just did the manufacturing for 6 years. But then I took back distribution because they were not focused on education. And I thought education was really critical. Excuse me.
Bless you.
So I thought education was critical. So I took it back in 97, renamed it Paragon, launched a bunch of other new implants, including the tapered screw vent in 1999. Oh, I forgot to mention, in 1986, I developed a second implant called the screw vent, and that one had a lead-in bevel, internal hex, and internal threads. So the core vent, you had the cement abutments, but the screw vent was all screwed-in abutments, and I developed a whole series of abutments for that. That became the conical connection. I got a patent on that, which I licensed to many companies. That became the first conical connection. That patent covered whether it was 45 degrees or whether it was 78 degrees. The way Nobel Active really popularized it even more in 2007 when the patent expired. Nobel Active launched with its conical connection.
So it's fair to say that you were the first one.
Yeah, I had the patent on it.
Exactly.
They couldn't sell in the States until that patent expired, and I licensed a number of companies. In 2000, a company called Calcitech came along and wanted to buy my company, and they did. And that later became Zimmer Dental, which became ZimV.
Yep.
So, and the screw vent, tapered screw vent, is the flagship product today, 20-some years later, of ZimV. They call the TS, tapered screw vent, TSB. Now they've come up with a newer version called the TSX, which is, they just made the threads a little deeper at the bottom. And that's about the only difference in the implant. So then moving forward, once I sold that company in 2001, I was under a non-compete for 5 years. But fortunately, my attorneys advised me that I gave up my right to compete, but not my right to prepare to compete. So in 2004, when Zimmer Dental by that time, decided to move out of the factory that I had built, that I was renting to them, and consolidate with their San Diego office, and all these employees that I had were going to be let go, I started a new company called Implant Direct and hired 90 of my former employees, went back into my factory, and spent the next 2 years waiting out the non-compete and developing what became Implant Direct, ultimately the most popular implant in the United States, especially among GPs. What I did with Implant Direct is I did all-in-one packaging. To end the confusion and give more value, I would include the implant, an abutment, a healing collar, a transfer, and a cover screw at one reasonable price. 150 it started out. It went up to 200 eventually over many years, over 6 years. And that created what they call the value segment in the implant industry, because then other companies started lowering their price. It was not a discount company because I never discounted. The price was the same for everybody. You ordered on the internet. So if you're going to have internet sales, you can't be messing with the price, giving everybody a different price. So I had one low price. So that was Implant Direct. 2010, Cybron came along and wanted to buy the company. And at the end of 2010, I sold them 75% of the company. I stayed on for 3 years as the president and became Implant Direct Cybron. Then at the end of 2013, they bought my remaining 25%, and I retired. The next year, the company that owned Cybron and owned me bought Nobel. So now you had Nobel and Implant Direct owned by the same people.
Sure.
Which is a tricky thing because we were competing with them, and I even had compatible implants to their implants. So they really did not help Implant Direct grow for many years. Now they've finally figured out how valuable it is, and they're focusing their marketing attention on it, and it's back to growing mode. So that's Implant Direct. Now, when my non-compete expired from that, which was March of 2022, I still have the factory. Factory building was sitting empty because they had moved out. My other two facilities, the customer service facility and the shipping facility, were sitting empty. So I figured, well, I'll go back in the implant business. So I started a Paragon implant company. I took the name that I had used before.
Gotcha. Okay.
Started Paragon and started developing a new implant system. 30 of my former employees left Implant Direct and came back to work for me. So I had an entire brain transfer. All the key people that I wanted came back. And for the last 2 years, we've been manufacturing the new Paragon implant system, which I call Gen-5 for Generation 5. And there's one other implant in there, a one-piece implant, which I call NizPlant, which is a very unique implant. It's a one-piece implant with the head of a locator attachment, but it can be converted to a multi-unit abutment.
Oh.
The idea being that you can put in 4 implants, do an overdenture for lower costs, at any time later come back and convert that to a fixed case. So that brings you up to where I am today. I'm still probably 9 months away from being able to hit the market. We're building different products and getting regulatory approvals, and that's the implant story.
So 3 times, right?
Yeah, maybe 4.
Maybe 4. Love it.
4
So how is this?
Paragon, Implant Direct, and now Paragon again.
That's such a fascinating story. This thing, like these guys moving out of your facility and then you going back in there. I mean, this is true entrepreneur and a business mind kind of attitude there that you got. I love it. So how is this new Paragon different from what Implant Direct and what Zimmer's are carrying right now? Is it pretty much the same basis, or is it something totally revamped?
Well, it's new from anything on the market.
Okay.
What I did is I took the body of the Legacy 2 implant, which was the next generation of the tapered screw vents.
Sure.
It had progressively deeper threads, double lead threads, progressively deeper threads, and it had micro threads. So I took off the micro threads and I put a 2.5 millimeter smooth neck on it, and I added a millimeter to each implant, and I put score lines on the neck of the implant. And here's the reason behind all this. What's the biggest problem today in implants? Peri-implantitis.
Correct.
Bone loss leading to inflammation of the tissue, and patient doesn't clean it, can't clean it because the rough surface gets exposed. So you get progressive bone loss. So at every meeting you go to, they're talking about how to treat peri-implantitis.
Right.
I think the key is how to avoid it and prevent it. And the answer to that really comes from Straumann with their 2 millimeter, 2.5. They got a 1.8 and a 2.8 millimeter smooth neck on their tissue level implants, but not the way they intended the implant to be used. One of their key clinicians, Dr. Daniel Boozer, explained that he takes that implant and he pushes about half the smooth surface below the crest of the bone.
Sure.
And he does it because he knows when he does bone grafting, there's going to be remodeling. When he does extraction, there's going to be remodeling. Oftentimes, the ridge is not level, so he's pushing the top, leaving a millimeter above the bone, and 1.8 millimeters is really below the bone. We've got this on videos, him explaining this. And that is so that when it's finally healing, there'll be a smooth surface exposed to the soft tissue, not a rough surface. So I built that concept into this implant in a rather unique way with score lines. Now, the other thing is the industry, do you place implants?
Correct. We do.
Okay. Do you put them level with the bone or below the crest?
So right now, all my implants are below the crest of the bone.
Okay. Wrong.
I know. I that's what I wanted to hear. I'm so excited to hear your concept and your theory, because we are always in the process of evolution. We're always trying to find better ways and better techniques.
Well, that's the way implants are being taught. And the reason is because they have the blasted surface and the threads to the top.
Yep.
So they know they're going to get some bone loss. So they're trying to push the implant down a little bit. So when they get bone loss, it'll end up at the top of the implant. Then they show it at the top and they say, see, no bone loss. Wrong. You lost a millimeter or two of bone because the bone will get below the junction. It can't attach above the junction. And now if you sink it below the bone and you've got a flared abutment, you need to contour the bone at the crest so that you can get that flared healing collar or abutment seated. So you're cutting away that bone. The answer is keep the implant and the implant abutment junction at or above the crest of the ridge. It just simplifies everything. And you can do that if you've got a 2.5 millimeter smooth neck.
Smooth neck. Okay.
Now, a lot of times there's the bone on the labial is resorbed, and you've got your high point on the lingual.
Sure.
So you could put the implant level with the bone on the lingual and have a couple millimeters of the neck of the implant exposed, and it's still smooth. You eliminated the need. If you did that with a blasted surface, you'd have to graft to cover that surface. So you eliminate a lot of grafting with this. And if it's a millimeter above, you have the advantage that the soft tissue will attach to it. And when you take off a healing collar or put it above and on, you're not tearing that soft tissue. You're not disrupting that soft tissue attachment in that millimeter of exposed titanium. So the whole philosophy of the design of the implant is built around changing the thinking of the industry to keep the implant a millimeter above. And guess what? The Corbin in 1982 was placed a millimeter above. I had a 16 millimeter implant, and we drilled 15 millimeters. Back then, I did it because the implants were always buried, and I want to make it easier to find. So I could run my finger along the crest of the ridge, feel the bump of the implant, and then just make a little hole in the tissue. It had a plastic post in. I'd put the diamond drill into the post, pull it out, without disrupting the soft tissue, attach an abutment. So I've incorporated that.
So I'm just thinking, like, what about the cortical plate on the top, where a lot of times they've shown studies that after drilling, the bone heats up or for whatever reason and it dies. And what are your thoughts on that? Would that the smooth collar, will that prevent that from happening?
Well, you shouldn't have dieback. Today you're using progressive drills. You're going through a 0.5 millimeter sequence of drills. If you've overheated with the first one, you're following it with another one that's just shaving a little bit, and the hole is open so the water can get in. So I'm not worried about dieback.
Got it.
And you'll go to lose bone if the labial plate is less than 1 millimeter, maybe even less than 2 millimeters.
Okay.
A study that I funded called the VA study put in 3,000 implants on 900 veterans. This is in the 90s. And when they drilled the hole, they would measure the labial plate, put the implant in, bury all the implants at that time. And when they uncovered, they could correlate bone loss relative to how thick the labial plate was. And if you had 2 millimeters of labial plate, there was no bone loss. 1 millimeter, you lost the millimeter, and if it was less than that, you'd lose more. So it's how thick the labial plate is.
Got it.
But so often you go in and there is no labial plate, or it's way down, and that's why having a smooth neck on the implant instead of microthreads or blasting is just the smart way to go.
That's such a great concept. I'm taking notes too, right?
Okay.
Yeah, great. So we're going to share some screen later on. I had a few questions I wanted to ask you. What are some of the key, moments or challenges that you had while you were developing all these companies and going through them and exiting out of them? Like, I know that is like totally a different mindset, right?
Well, I came on the market in 1982. The Nobel system didn't really hit the market till 83 or 84. And I was very pleased to read the Brodmark research. I was getting an ankylosed implant. He proved that if you get an ankylosed implant, which he called osseointegration, it had long-term predictability. So I was talking about his research and my implant, and they didn't like that. So they figured out how they were going to slow me down or stop me, and they sued me for infringing on their surface patent. They had a patent that they got through. So in 86, they filed a suit against me. I filed a cross suit against them for false advertising, claiming that Brodmark discovered osseointegration. He didn't. His 77 textbook references French orthopedist that did, and a few other things they were doing. So we had a very expensive litigation for 86, 87, and 88. And finally, they were spending me into the ground. So I did a settlement with them, and I agreed to a 10% royalty on my pure titanium implants. But most of what I was selling was alloy, so I didn't have to pay anything on that. It turns out that they went on to sue 3i Implant Innovations, which is also today's ZimV, and they wouldn't give them a license. There was a litigation, went to trial, and Nobel lost, and the patent was declared invalid by fraud. And they ended up having to pay 3i $15 million. $3 million in damages, tripled because it violated what they call the Lanham Act, and $5 million in legal fees. And that patent that I was paying a royalty on was declared invalid, and I couldn't get out of the payments until their patent expired. So
wow,
we've had a long, cantankerous relationship with Nobel. When I started Implant Direct, then they violated the patent, or at least I thought they did, the internal connection patent with their trilobe implant. So I sued them for violating that. and they got out of it because they didn't have a lead-in bevel on their implant. But in the process, I learned that they were filing a patent on the Trilo. So I got out ahead of them and filed my own patent on a different way to do the Trilo. So it was compatible but didn't infringe their patent. And when I launched Implant Direct, and I couldn't sell the legacy until 2007 because my own patent was stopping me, I focused on the Trilo. And I took a lot of business away with a lower cost Trilo, which I called the Replant. So that friction went back and forth a few times. And now Nobel really controls Implant Direct. So now they just launched the new implant they call the Iconic. And what they did is they took my legacy implant and my interactive implant, both of which had the same body, but the interactive had a Nobel compatible platform so that I could go after the Nobel customers. But once Nobel got influence at Implant Direct, they stopped claiming that was compatible with theirs, but it is. We got FDA approval that it was compatible. I've even posted that FDA notice on my website, Niznick.com. So they are pushing away from legacy and to the Iconic. I say they should have called it the Ironic, because when you take the Corbin, the legacy had 4 different platforms. So that the platform got wider as the implant got wider, so that you always have a good emergence profile. But the Nobel Active, which I copied the connection in my interactive, only has 2 platforms. So it's got a 4.7 implant with a 3.0 platform, and you got a big jump, a big undercut. Which I don't care for. So I pointed that out on Implant Direct, on Paragon-implant.com. We post all of my analysis of the various implant systems in the controversy section. And I go into great length on the Ironic implant. So I'm still in conflict with the Nobel people, because they're trying to make my legacy, which was a damn good implant, into something that looks more like and gives more credibility to their conical connection for a 78-degree connection.
Well, I guess it depends who has a better relationship, right, with the guys who own it. Is it Invista right now? I think
Invista, yes, right. Invista, and they've got a president for Nobel and a president for Implant Direct. But the president of Nobel is also the president of Invista. So they just replaced the president. Yeah. So they're trying to balance these conflicting stories, and what they came up with was now one of the improvements of my Gen-5 is I went from 4 platforms to 2.
Okay.
So I dramatically reduced it, and I've got the Gen-5, and then I've got what I call the Gen-5 Plus, and that's, I think, going to be a big winner. What it is the same implant, but I got a 2mm extender that's friction fitted at the factory that adds 2 millimeters and flares out to 4 millimeters, and it is the transmucosal part of a standard multi-unit abutment. So you just insert a screw into it, and you turn it into a Nobel compatible multi-unit abutment. Okay. And then you can add a variety of abutments to it, which I'll show you if we get into the slides.
No, definitely. I got one other question that we'll definitely get into the slides, because I have a lot of questions about your Paragon system. Is that in the market yet, or is it still under development?
Well, it's being manufactured. We've developed it all.
Oh, okay.
I've got 25 new machines about 80 people in the factory, and we're making it. It takes a long time. You got to program it, set up the machines. So we're probably 9 months away from launch.
All in Los Angeles, right?
Yes, it's all being done in Los Angeles. Now, my go-to-market strategy is also different than anybody else's. Let me just get rid of that. I'm only going to sell in North America. I'm not going international. I'm only going to sell on the internet with a shopping cart. So I can keep the prices very low. The implant will be $100, which is the same that I charged for a screw vent in 1986. And the Gen-5 Plus with the extender will be $135. A prosthetic screw that would convert it to a multi-unit abutment will be $25. So you're at $160 for an implant and a multi-unit abutment, which is less than a lot of companies charge us for the abutment itself. The NizPlant with a dual function platform will come with all the cap attachments that are compatible to the locator, and that it grabs the outside, but also has an inside connection. And that all those components will come with the implant for $160, which is less than what Zest charges for a locator attachment.
Of course.
So, what's happened in the industry is everybody's discounting. For example, Neodent sells for $229 in the United States. They'll sell it to a DSO for $100 and to Clear Choice for less than that. And that implant sells for $23 in Brazil. So you're really buying a $23 implant and paying $229. I believe that everybody should be able to pay the same price, whether it be a single GP or a busy oral surgery practice that can afford the inventory, or DSOs. One price for everybody. Shopping cart will have 50 to 75 inside customer service people that can answer your questions. And, that's the new business model, staying just in North America.
And Dr. Niznick, is there any kind of educational component through your Paragon, your new system Gen-5, or is it like just strictly just implant and parts?
I'm going after experienced dentists. I'm not going after, somebody says they have to learn to drill on a plastic jaw. I'll lead the education to so many people out there today that want to teach. I'm in Vegas tomorrow. I'm lecturing at the Maxi course, the AAID Maxi course.
Right.
There's Zimmer, ZimB built a whole training center in Miami, and you can learn how to do implants there. You can learn from Implant Direct. The new implant is surgically compatible with the screw vent and the legacy. The same drills would work with our implants, although we do have a new drilling system. So no, I'm not going after education. This is how you can afford to sell a high-quality implant at a discount, low price.
Makes
by
sense.
eliminating the extraneous stuff and by making 1 million implants a year so that you can mass market. Nobody other than me is going to buy 25 machines and spend 25 million before you sell your first implant and build a big inventory. It's because I know that when I hit the market, people are going to appreciate this implant.
100%. 100%.
I'll just tell you a few other things that I'm doing. Besides the implant industry, I'm in aerospace manufacturing. So I have 2 factories, about 200,000 square feet, and we make parts for Boeing, Lockheed, Airbus, F-35. So one part I make is 14 feet long, and I say if I can make a 14-foot part for a 777X airplane, I can make a 14-millimeter implant. So I've been in the aerospace business since 2003, 2002, I think. And
Wow.
I'm also in the hotel business. I have a hotel in Bristol, Connecticut, and we just added a second hotel and a convention center. So implants are part of what I do, but I have other ventures as well.
So what's your take? Like, what's your legacy? Like, you're going to be, what are you shooting for?
To live a little longer.
Like, obviously, there is no, I mean, obviously, retirement does not exist for you, right? That is what I love about you. But you keep going, and it's like never ending. It's just amazing. So, what is your ultimate outcome?
Well, I want to get this system to the market. I mean, you are placing an implant subcrestal because somebody told you to, and and even the companies are telling you to do that because they know that their stupid designs with threads and blasting to the top is going to be a problem. So they want you to bury the implant, which creates other problems. Then they have to have a long, narrow abutment that flares out. They need running room to get to the diameter that they need. So I'm coming back in to try and share my experience and knowledge in implants and get people doing it the least expensive way. I just saw somebody post a case with 4 Neodent implants in a dentulous jaw for an overdenture, and they buried it 2 millimeters below the crest. And then they attached the healing collar, which just brought the implant level with the crest. Now, how stupid is that? Why not use a one-piece implant that comes through the tissue and already has the attachment in it? If you know it's going to be an overdenture, I made an implant called the screw-in direct implant, which is a one-piece implant with a multi-unit abutment on it. And you already had a screw receiving abutment. And so it reduces the cost. It improves the clinical results. You can get thinner implants if they're one piece. You can have a 3 millimeter implant for strength, and you're not cutting away the crestal bone. They say it preserves crestal bone, but you've already lost 2 millimeters of bone contact.
And which is going to lead to the implant anyways.
Yes, and you're losing the contact with the cortical bone, which is give you the highest level of. So
maybe in the future, maybe in the future you might want to think about like selling it to Straumann, right? So that they can incorporate your design with Neodents.
Well, I have a very good relationship with Straumann, and I have a lot of respect for that company and their management. They invited me over to lecture to their executives in 2019 on how I built the value segment. I told them, I says, the first thing you need to do, they brought all their world executives in. I was like the surprise speaker. And I said, the first thing you need to do is put value in your packaging. Okay. In other words, the value segment is built on offering value. Your value is dependent on convincing somebody it's worth $500. Why did you, if you just package it with other components at the time, is what I was thinking of. So I had a good relationship, and they invited me back one other time, and who knows what the future will bring. But if any company is going to buy my company, or that I would put the new products in the hands of somebody that I know that would represent it well, it would be Straumann.
Right. No, that's great, because I think Neodent is one of those companies where they're great, but they don't have that what you got. So is your connection like internal hex, or is it like still sort of
exact same as the screw vent, as the legacy?
Got it.
45 degrees. But in 1994, I developed the friction fit connection. And that's where you take the male hex and tapered 1 degree. When you seat it in, it doesn't fully seat. You have to tighten it 30 Newton centimeters, and drives it together. That was a flagship feature of ZimV's screw vent. If you go and watch their videos or whatever, they're talking about that. I got away from it because the precision that I could reach didn't require that with every abutment. But I'm bringing that back, that same friction fit, for my extender. And I'm going to make this extender for other implant companies. What do I learn in 40 years in implant evolution? So on the left, you see the first ad for the core vent. And on the right, you see why I call it Gen-5. The first gen was core vent in 1982. The second gen was the screw vent in 1986. The third generation was the tapered screw vent in
1999.
1999. Then the legacy in 2007, and now Gen-5 is the new implant. How did Implant Direct build its business? It was on the internet, and we could provide good customer service by having well-trained customer service people. We eventually built a sales force of 90 people as well, or 70 people. And every inside person had a partner on the outside. An independent study showed that we had the highest customer satisfaction of any company. Here's an image showing the new implant system. On the left at $100 is the Gen-5, then the Gen-5 Plus, and then the NizPlant. And all three of them have exactly the same implant body. So the Gen-5 Plus has a 2 mm friction fit healing collar, and the NizPlant, it's all a one-piece implant, and the top has the outside of a locator. Locator attachments would fit. It has an internal lead-in bevel and a receptacle for a socket. So it's got a ball and socket as well as the outside attachment. Here's the patent that I filed on the implant, putting score lines on the neck. As I said, each implant is a millimeter longer than the standard. That a 13 is 14. We don't go to 16. I've eliminated the 16 millimeter implant, and I've eliminated the 7 millimeter. So I'm just getting down to the basic implants that you need.
Sure.
So I've got the score lines to help you determine where you want it relative to the crest of the ridge. This is the patent application on the extender. This friction fit to the implant. Here is the Gen-5 Plus with the extender in place. The gold represents the platform of a 3.5 screw vent, and the pink represents the platform of a 4.7 screw vent, which is 4.5. So you got 3, 5, and 4, 5 platforms. Two platforms, and this shows the extenders. And you'll notice that on the widest implant, the extender fits flush with the outside of the implant. Normally what's happening with these wider implants is you get a real big ledge there, which I don't like. That's even worse on companies that have just one connection. But with the friction fit, I can sit it on the platform and it's still engaging the friction fit. I'm not relying on the lead-in bevel for stability.
Got it.
Now, this shows 6 different positions for the Gen-5 Plus. It's got a 2 millimeter neck. You could place the implant level with the crest, and it would project up 2 millimeters above the bone. You could do it to the first score line. It would be 3 millimeters. Second score line, it would be 4 millimeters. To the blast line, it would be 4.5. And it also comes with screws of different heights. So you could go to 5.5 and 6.5, or you could put them all with the 1 millimeter above the bone and just vary the height based on the screw. So instead of holding an inventory of abutments, all you need to do is hold an inventory of screws of different heights. 4 screws for $100. You get $300. You got 12 screws, and you can vary the height of it. So that is a tremendous savings on the abutment inventory that you need to deal with.
Got it.
Now, this shows that platform also can accept a variety of other abutments. So we're making angled, straight, temporary abutments, angled screw channel abutments, locator compatible abutments. They'll all screw into the top of that extender. Now, what this extender gives you is what no other company is doing. If you put this implant in and the tissue recedes and you want to lower the platform, you take off the extender and go right to the top of the implant. So it's a healing collar, and it's the transmucosal part of an abutment, and this is like Nobel's on one. They sell a healing collar that screws in and raises up the platform, make it easier to restore and to scan. So that's the Gen-5 Plus. Here's the case showing, I think they were mega gens put in by Dr. Gans. And you see all the exposed threads on these implants in the extraction socket. You're going to get it every time. You would have to go back and graft all of that to cover those threads of the blasted surface. On the right, I've superimposed the Gen-5 Plus implant into those sockets, and you don't need to do any grafting because the surface is exposed. Then on the left, now you see he's attached the abutments, but he's attaching it in a pool of blood. On the right, the abutment connection is already attached at the factory and it's friction fit, so you're getting the best connection you can, and then you just add on whatever height screw you want, and you're all set. This is the NizPlant. I was just going to make it in a couple diameters, and I figured out I'd make it in all 6 diameters, 6 diameters, and all with the same platform. And it can be used like a locator with our attachment. If you need more height, you could screw in an extender that brought up the height a little bit on the locator. You could attach a multi-unit abutment or just attach directly to the top of the implant with a angled screw channel. So let the lab do the angle correction when they're building the full arch case instead of you worrying about angling your implants.
Sure.
I'm not a big fan of putting an implant at a 45-degree angle to tip it back from the metal foramen. If you want to tip it back 15, 20 degrees. You really, when you think about cantilevering, Brodemar said you could cantilever back to the tonsils from 4 implants in the front. So this business about dramatically tipping to shorten the AP spread is being carried too far. When you think of zygomatic implants, you got a 40 millimeter cantilever off of those implants.
Right.
This Gen-5 has got a lead-in. The NizPlant has got a lead-in bevel, internal hex connection, just like an implant, and it's got a rib on the outside, just like the locator. So that's that implant. And I got a patent pending on that. You can see the chamber inside the implant where a ball would snap into, as well as grab on the outside. And here's the case where they did 4 locators. I superimposed my implant. I gotta go back. I superimposed my implant on it to show that you could use it as a locator, a multi-unit abutment, connect directly to it. This is the packaging of the implant. The surface wasn't put on this particular implant, and all the components will come in the bottom of the vial for $160.
Nice.
This is the surgical tray, which is going to be very neat, and guide you to soft bone or hard bone surgical protocol, which is the same as the screw vent and the legacy. It will come with drill stops at 2 heights. So if you want to place it level with the bone, you select one drill stop. If you want it a millimeter above the bone, there's a different drill stop, a different color drill stop. And the outside diameter of the drill stops will go through a surgical tray. So you don't need to use keys in order to step up your drills. You just change a drill, put the same drill stop on the different sized drills, go through the sleeve in the surgical tray till it hits the bone. Depending which drill stop, it'll place the depth of the implant so that the implant would be 1 millimeter above the bone or level with the bone.
So I have a question for you. When you have like 11 millimeter implant or 11 and a half, whatever size you have for the Paragon system,
yes,
is that including the smooth collar as well?
Yes.
Got it.
So it's actually 12 and a half millimeters to the top of the implant.
So basically the blasted surface is about 10 and a half, right?
On a 12 and a half, it would be 10.
10.
So you can go anywhere from placing the blasted surface level with the bone and have 2.5 millimeters projecting above. If you wanted to project through the tissue for one stage, I would recommend if you wanted that, you're better off using the Gen-5 Plus. Put the smooth neck below the crest to accommodate for bone loss, and have the extender be the one stage. So this outs Straumann really, because Straumann has a bone level implant which is blasted and threaded to the top, which violates the principles that Dr. Boozer advocates of putting a smooth neck below the crest. So he is using their tissue level implant all the time and uses it like a bone level implant, whereas my system has figured this all out for you.
Got it.
So this slide shows my aerospace company, and like I said, if I could make that 14-foot part for a 777X, I could make an implant. On the right, we were just in 2023. We were Spirit Aerospace's #1 supplier, not in volume, but
amazing
in quality and on-time delivery. And Spirit is the biggest supplier to Boeing. They make the fuselages for that. On the right is a fuel floor for a F-35. And picture my 2 factories. This is a picture of the implants. And this is a picture of my convention center in Bristol, Connecticut.
No, that was great information there, Dr. Niznick. It was really, really good to see like there's an implant system that is going to be like at the $100 mark. I mean, any implant system nowadays with a price hike year after year, it's just getting ridiculous.
Now my screen went black. Are you still seeing me?
I can see you nice and clear.
Okay. Well, then I won't worry about seeing you. It says screen broadcasting. The Zoom is stopped due to attempt to start. Go to app. Okay, I'll say okay, and let's see if it comes back. Okay, we're back.
Awesome.
All right, so I hope this covered what you wanted.
I just got one last question for you. What do you got for young professionals aspiring to make a mark in the dental implantology world?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. First of all, I'm 81 years old. So I'm not going to be around forever. So I need young guys like you to carry the message. Don't believe everything you're told. Don't believe the last speaker that you heard. Don't believe the salesperson. Do your own studying, and every question you can have on implant dentistry is answered on my website, on Niznick.com in the controversy section. We've got articles. There's another section on articles. And whenever I'm answering somebody, I'm putting links on all the time. We're adding all this material to the new Paragon website, paragon-implant.com. What system are you using?
Currently, we are with Neodent.
Okay. Well, took me 11 pages to list everything that was wrong with that system.
I'm going there to check it out right now after this.
I mean, first of all, it's not a fully tapered implant. It's straight and then tapered at the end. So
You're right on that.
So getting initial stability is not guaranteed. Whereas you can take my 6 millimeter implant and get good initial stability because the whole thing is tapered and it's spreading and compacting the bone. So that's one thing. It's got a long taper on a connection, which they call the Grand Morris.
Right.
Well, it's not a Morris taper. Morris taper is 1 to 1.5 degrees. That's 16 degrees. All you get when you have a long taper like that is very thin walls. It's got threads all the way to the top and blasted all the way top. So it's forcing you to put the implant subcrestal, and it's got only one connection, which they tell you, oh, this is wonderful. You can reduce your abutment inventory because we only have one connection. But it's creating emergence profile nightmares that are going to be a problem to clean for the patient. And then again, I don't know what you're paying for the implant. They probably tell you you're special. We're going to give you a 30% discount. I won't ask you to share your discount.
Right. You kind of nailed it. Yeah, discount is some sort of discount for sure.
Yeah, right. But it's
we're going to throw in we're going to throw in the surgical kits.
They're selling it to Clear Choice for $70, and they're selling it to you for $150, and they're selling it in Brazil for $23. Do you think you can make an implant that the majority of your sales are going out at $23 and be able to put the attention that you need for the precision? I've looked at those implants under microscope, and maybe they got a lot better after Straumann bought them, but they weren't that good before. And why buy an implant in Brazil when you can buy American and know the source? We were just
I know the source now.
You know the source. We were just written up in a magazine, which is also posted, a manufacturer magazine. It says where precision meets innovation. So I think we're going to have an impact on the market. If there's smart guys like you want to do the best you can for the patient. That's the first thing. You want to avoid complications down the road. And if you're putting in an implant with micro threads and blast to the top and countersinking, somewhere down. For instance, Clear Choice posted a case they're so proud of, 4 implants. And I posted, can't you see you got peri-implantitis and inflamed tissue on 3 of them? They took it down right away. So everybody's going to get problems with implants. You need to figure out how to minimize it, and having a smooth neck and a supracrestal connection is a good start.
Got it. No, definitely. I mean, that's good info. I'm definitely going to keep that in mind. And if there's any way I can be of any assistance, I mean, definitely, I'm available.
All right.
Great. Yeah, we really appreciate you and what you shared with us today. I think this was like really eye-opener for a lot of us. And thank you again for all the information.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me. I'm always happy to share my information with young people. When I see what's being done in the field today, it's so aggravating with the misinformation from the companies and dentists just following what they're told. So I'm really changing the industry again, I hope. And changing
Yes, you are.
Better.
Yes, you are. Which is why your profile just caught my eye, and I'm like, I got to reach out to you. Well,
okay.
Well, again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, and have a good day.
Yep, you too. God bless. And this is the end of our Secure Dental podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. And this is Dr. Gerald Niznick and your host, Noel. Thanks, Doc.
Bye-bye.